So we are here back with another live, right? Set up a little bit different this time, but nevertheless, here delivering, right? I am going to keep this short because right now I am currently balancing staying up late to bring you guys this live, make sure I get you the best, most up to date information that there is, and also having to balance that with leading a busy life, being in a place where I'm going to be waking up in just a couple of short hours from now. But that is what happens when you have a commitment to going out in the field and putting in the work, right? That is the first lesson, is that working on your social skills gets to be very, very fun, right? And this is gonna be weird because I know a lot of people will never do this, right? For something that they are promoting, that they're encouraging other people to join into, it's almost like they would never start with the negatives up front or the dangers up front. I am going to buck that trend, right? I am going to tell you the downside of working on your social skills. And it is that you end up having so much fun, right? That you end up getting such good feelings from being validated by others, right? From getting that certain special kind of attention that you maybe were not able to garner before, right? It gets so fun, so rewarding that you want to do it all the time, right? You really start to question, like, how can I set up my life to have more of these high quality interactions, right? And first, you enjoy actually just being out, socializing, starting the conversations with people. But the other part and the other aspect of it as well is that as you start to get more, better, higher quality, just all around fulfilling connections, right? As you start to find people that you really vibe with, that you really like, you then end up naturally kind of following up with them, hanging out with them, and that fun and good vibes like spreads to others and like compounds, because you end up not spending time with people who are not valuing your time and are not like valuing you and appreciating the time that they are spending with you, right? So things get very good very quickly. um, it does take a bit of time in the beginning, right? It can feel like work, but certainly kind of staying in there and getting to the point where things start to get fun changes everything, right? It is, like I say, you are really in the end game now. There is a lot to cover and master in the end game, and that brings me to the next kind of topic I want to highlight. This is coming straight from being out tonight, right? And if you saw the last video, you probably saw me talking about how I wanted to be more intentional with showing people that I was interested as I was having the conversation with them, right? Letting them know that I enjoyed the conversation, uh, preempting follow ups, whether it would be, hey, let's meet up again while we're out, or hey, let's do something to keep the conversation going now and tonight, or let's potentially exchange information so that, maybe some other time, some other place, we could run into each other again, right? I don't know if I mentioned this in the last video, but I'll mention it now, even at the risk of, potential embarrassment or whatever. Uh, I was talking to someone about this, and the way I described it was, it's not that I'm not showing interest. It's just that I feel like I need to really like turn up the dial, like, have that meter like come a little bit farther forward, right? And I definitely did that. However, the way I described it before was like I was maybe at a 3 and in talking to this person, so I was maybe at a 3 and thought, well, I should turn it up to like a 5, see what that's like. This person's like, no, based on what I know from you, Jamal, you probably need to turn it up to a 7. So try to implement that, right? Went out with the intention of showing and expressing my interest in someone when I found them very interesting, right? It's not just to lower the bar, have anybody, but kind of express that interest more. And had a couple of really high quality interactions, right? And I did express interest more. And one of the things that kind of surprised me, which I'm telling you guys all this stuff so that it cuts down on your learning curve dramatically, right? So that you don't end up making the mistakes that I made, right? And one thing about working on your social skills is there are many different aspects and facets to social skills, right? There are many different individual things, tasks, skills that you will have to develop in order to really become tremendous in terms of your presence, your charisma, your ability to connect with others, your ability to lead them into having a good time, right? What I have seen the past couple weekends is that as you are working, well, I'll just say me, as I was working to show this greater interest and be more intentional about expressing that interest, some other things that I was doing quite well faltered a little bit. So, for example, out today, expressing interest. And as I did that, I began to, in my mind, think more about, okay, what do I do to show and express that I'm interested? And as I was having those thoughts, as my focus was tending towards that, I feel like it decreased how present and fully aware I was in that particular moment. And not being as present in that moment, I feel like then made it a bit harder to think and come up with something and really like have my full intuition like ready to bear and be brought forth and like ready to just kind of lean on that and lean into that. So that was one thing I noticed is that there are many different aspects of the game, and you can, many different tools and skill sets, and you will probably work on them independently as you assess where you are and what would be most beneficial to work on next to move you forward. However, working on things individually is different than working on them in combination. And so it's really one of those things where the more you can kind of get into the right habits and the right frame of mind from the beginning when you are first developing your social skills, then that cuts down on the learning curve dramatically because you're not then having to relearn things or learn them in a slightly different way, because when you first learned them, you were learning them in an isolated way versus learning them in combination with other skill sets, other aspects of your self-expression, all of the above, right? The other thing I'm going to mention, of course, is that as you get good and get better, like people pick up on your vibe and they come to you certainly more, right? And this is an aspect that kind of, again, it is and was shocking to me, even though maybe it should not have been, right? Um, One thing first going out, like when your vibe is bad, like people stay away. Like even if you go up and try and talk to them, like you certainly do get many more like negative reactions in the beginning when you're not dialed in yourself. However, as you start to become more dialed in, the reactions start to improve, right? And that by no means is the case that, everyone you try and talk to will want to talk to you and will engage and, fully appreciate the conversation and everything else. However, like the numbers and percentages certainly go up, and you certainly begin to read people more accurately to even tell, like before talking to them, what their kind of state of mind is, how comfortable they are, maybe how open they are, right? All that being said, back to the original point, as you start to get good, as you start to get comfortable, as you start to like exude this confidence, this presence, this charisma, in some cases, like this sexuality, other people pick up on that and will be drawn to you and will begin to start conversations and look to connect with you, right? It is qualitatively and quantitatively different, right? Numbers wise, it is much higher than, like I said, than when your vibe is not dialed in. And together with the ability to be able to read other people, like they just come and are starting off from a much warmer place. So when you then are able to read the warmth that they're coming in with and understand how to like see that energy and bring out like a little bit more, like, bring it to the fore, bring it to the middle, and even like kind of shape it in a little bit of a way. Um, like the quality and of your interactions, the fun in your interactions, the connection that you end up making does end up being so much more and so rewarding, right? Again, I mentioned this before, but I'm just going to mention it again to put a finer point on it. Um, it is a big thing to show and express your interest, right? And even though like I said, felt like I was maybe at a 3 before, wanted to turn it up to a 7, um, it was not that easy or comfortable for me to do, right? I don't even know if I fully got to a 7. Feel like maybe last weekend and some of the time this weekend, I would say it was certainly above a 3. I would say between 4 and 6 at different times. And like dialing it up to 6 from 3, like was not too much. In fact, there were a couple of instances where I feel like I should have dialed it up more, right? And there was this one interaction actually that like stood out to me because I felt like potentially I really offended the young woman by not showing more interest and really expressing how much I enjoyed talking with her, how much I enjoyed interacting with her, how much I liked her and wanted to continue that. Um, it was kind of funny because it got to a point where like, yeah, like she was just, I could tell visibly emotional and not the same like good vibes, like fun, proximity, flirty, all that stuff before. It was more of like my feelings are hurt. And, it's not funny that her feelings were hurt. But it's, that part makes me feel a little bad. That was certainly not my intention. I don't like to have hurt her feelings. But at the same time, what I also recognize is that to the extent that her feelings may have been hurt, it's because she really wanted to continue interacting with me, right? She really enjoyed like the time together. Um, and I did too, and that's a good thing, right? And so, the way it was expressed was maybe not as constructive as could have been. Uh, but the expression itself, I feel like still came from like a very good place, a very genuine place. And she's a very high quality person. So, uh, hope to see her again. And again, like I said earlier, like showing your interest, showing your intention, going after the people that you really want to connect with, combining that with improved social skills overall, higher like degree and level of charisma, um, you end up finding people that you like more. You end up finding your type of person or people that you like more quickly and easily. Then you are able to connect with them to a higher degree. Then you have a lot of fun. Then you really have memorable interactions because they're people that you were drawn to from the start, right? Before you even began talking with them. Then you do begin talking with them. You get them to open up. You encourage them to step outside their comfort zones to maybe um, try and be like a bit more free spirited and fun and I would even just say like open than they were before. And it's really, really nice. So there's so many more details, so many more caveats, so many more insights that I could be putting into this field report or this live stream that we got going on here. But again, I'm I'm gonna be waking up in just a couple of short hours here, past 5 a.m. on the East Coast here, but I really wanted to make sure that I got this out. If you are watching this, one thing that is tremendously helpful is your subscription. Please subscribe. Please share these with someone else who could benefit from learning real insight, real high level social skills, right? And like, really, this stuff is not just for someone who is like dabbling, right? And I understand, and I myself have been at a place before where I was not, in terms of my commitment, in terms of my studying, in terms of my interest, I was not always of the same mind that I am now. I was not always putting forth the same intention that I am now. And so I could certainly understand if someone were to come across this content and feel like they don't quite vibe with it or connect with it, or it isn't reaching them in the same way that they might hope. Um, because it was the same for me. You know, I wasn't always down with this in the same way that I am now. That being said, those that are down with this, like, they know how high quality this is, right? They see the insights. They understand how rare this is to have someone going through it in the same place that they are, right? Or maybe even slightly ahead of where they are, to give them those fresh, real, raw insights that helped me progress, right? The key things that I was struggling with. And it's not just me, because like there are many people along this journey as well. And so I get to see them, interact with them, help them, guide them, learn from them. And we are all so much better because of it, right? We end up encouraging each other, end up learning from each other, end up pushing each other forward. And this is then being shared and brought to you as well. So take it, go out there, practice positive dominance, practice letting yourself express who you are, what you're feeling, how you would like others to connect with you, right? How they can help you, how you can help them, and enjoy it, right? So much more that I could be sharing. Hopefully, I will tomorrow, but again, very busy life. And if not tomorrow, some of these things will come up again. So enjoy the live stream. It was a pleasure getting out there, being in the field, meeting different people, interacting with them. Really met some people that I'm going to miss, and I want that for you, where you're meeting high quality people, and you know you will continue to meet more of them. You end up missing them because the interactions with them are so great, but you also realize that, hey, you got a busy, important life going on, and life is demanding. And to really get to where you want to be, you're going to have to make priorities, and you're going to have to go and do it, right? You're going to have to make it happen. So I wish you the very best in those endeavors. Take care of you all and get some sleep.